Hi, this is Terry Brock with terrybrock.com. And you know, there's people that you have in your life that you really enjoy being around. They've given you a lot of benefits. And sometimes then they step away and you go, what happened to them? Well, a person like that is Randy Gage. And Randy Gage is a person who has helped me enormously, thinking, learning about prosperity, learning what to do. And he's on sabbatical. He's not out in the world right now, but I have found him. Found where he is in an undisclosed location. We're not going to mention where right now. And he's joining me right now here. There we are. Randy Gage joins us. Randy, how you doing?
Doing great. Good to be on with you.
Yeah, well, you're on sabbatical right now. And we're doing this just to mainly show people, yeah, you are alive. You're out there moving around. And what you been doing these days?
Really, there are two things I wanted to do with the sabbatical. Well, other than just work on me, that was the primary thing. Hey, I just wanted to work on learning some languages, personal growth, self-growth, better health, working out, all of those things. And then the two creative projects I wanted to do was an online learning platform and my next book, which is kind of a sequel to Risky is the New Safe. So
which is a damn good book, and people should read that.
It is a damn good book. I'm really proud of that book, and it's done really well around all over the world. We just sold China yesterday, as a matter of fact. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah. So I think we're up to 12 or 13 languages for that book. So it's doing really well, and I'm real proud of it.
Good. So you're doing these kinds of things, and we know that you're out bouncing around the world a lot, and we've got a place here in an undisclosed location. We'll just keep calling it that. I wonder, where is that place? I don't know, but it's out here. But I understand you might be working on some other projects in the future. You mentioned your book. What other kind of things might we see if you were to perchance come out of that retirement sometime?
Yeah, I'm thinking, and yeah, it's not retirement. Let's be really clear. I'm an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs are artists, and artists never retire, as you'll see in my next book. That's kind of how it opens.
I like that. That's really good. So sabbatical, very important.
Yeah, not a retirement. I tried to retire when I was 40, and that's not me. And now I know why through some experiences, and that's what I'm talking about in the next book, which is, by the way, is called Mad Genius, and it's a manifesto on entrepreneurial thinking. So it's really, I'm having a lot of fun writing that book.
I like that. It's a mad genius. We'll have to keep our eyes out for that.
Yeah, so I'm doing that. And then this online platform will probably be, I have one just for people in direct selling and network marketing. I opened that up in beta like in a couple of months ago. That's doing really well. But that's really just the introductory stage. The next one I want to do is going to be called Gage Institute for Visionary Entrepreneurship. And it'll be a membership platform that I want to get 2 million people in this thing. And I'm going to do a thing where you buy one, get one. So everyone who comes in and joins a membership on that, then it's going to buy a scholarship for a teenage kind of youth, that age spread youth in, one of inner cities that I want to teach entrepreneurial skills to. And get people away from the entitlement, welfare mentality that we're developing so much in this country here in the United States and so many other countries, and into empowering kids and teaching them about free enterprise and their ability to go out and make themselves. So that's going to be probably, I'm thinking I'll be done with the book by the spring, and that's when I probably will come off sabbatical. And hopefully I'll be really far along on that online learning platform. But one of the things happened, I put on my Facebook page today. I was actually in Miami yesterday, going back to the design district to get some things that I wanted for my new place here. And
in this undisclosed location.
We can say it's Southern California. I'll give you that much. So, but there's like some stuff I can only find in Miami. So I went back there, and there was an art gallery. And so I said, well, I got like one wall left that, I could put a beautiful piece of art. So I go in, see this amazing work by this Argentine artist. And I just fell in love with it. And I thought that would work on the wall in my office. So I asked how much it was because I was going to buy it. It was $175,000.
Oh, is that all?
Yeah, that's all. And, you know, you've seen the artwork I have in here. This is that one. That's a San Francisco artist there. That's a Canadian over there. I mean, and I've got some what I would consider pricey art by my standards as a guy who was a, high school dropout, minimum wage dishwasher. I've graduated in prosperity consciousness, but I've never paid $175,000 for a painting before.
At least not yet.
Right, and that one really speaks to me. So I put on my Facebook page this morning, I think I might have to get out of this sabbatical pretty soon and start making some serious money because I really want that work of art. So I don't know. Maybe by spring I'll be out of the sabbatical. So and I'll be doing that online platform. And then the other thing I'm going to do is probably in the fall. This will probably be my first public live event when I come back from sabbatical. I'm going to do a thing called Tribal, and it's going to be a 3-day, really high-level boot camp type of program for people who want to lead tribes and people who are leading tribes. Mm-hmm. And I want to look.
Tribal tech stuff is important, I hear.
Looking at the stuff of whether it's copywriting, blogging, videos, writing books, speaking, all of the platform stuff. How do you create a platform to reach and lead a tribe? And I think a really high-level 3-day really intense, probably 15 hours a day, so it's not going to be a tourist thing. It's going to be a real serious thing.
Yeah, I think that's going to be very important because today our communities are based more on common ground and values that we have rather than geography. We don't form our tribes only on geography. It's based on, hey, you believe this, I have these values, we have it in common, and now the internet gives us the ability to propel that and to connect with these people.
Yeah, I don't think it's about geography at all anymore. I think the internet has changed the game forever for all of us, and that's what makes it so exciting to be an influencer right now. Whether you're a speaker, author, coach, consultant, trainer, whatever, what we can do with Skype and Google Hangouts and vlogs and Twitter and Facebook and our regular websites and these online learning platforms like I'm doing. There's just so many and books and digital books and other digital products. There's so many ways to connect with tribes now with this technology and bringing it down to where anybody could do it. If you really have a vision for something, whether it's a tribe of people who are going to follow you for a service you provide, or it's a tribe that you want to change the world with a cause and help the disenfranchised or the disadvantaged or the poor or the whatever. We can do that now with all this technology, and I do that on a high level now. I have a wonderful tribe around the world, and I connect with them in a lot of ways. And so this tribal event will be about how to do that for people who really want to do that.
I think it's going to be particularly good because with the tribes, there's so many people out there. The tribe gives you ability to focus on a particular group. Well, right now, yes, we can all do this. The technology is great. We can do so much with it. But yet, that also means there's a lot of competition. Everybody can do it. But if you find your tribe, like you're going to work with this particular group and someone else might work with that particular group, I think then that opens up a lot more opportunities.
Yeah, because if you're trying to be something to everyone, the only way you can do that for the masses is if you want to be mediocre. I mean, just being real. Yeah. If you wanna pander to the masses, that's what you have to do. You have to pander. Whereas with the tribe, you can really find the people who are really passionate, really committed, and really zeroed in on whether it's a movement, a cause, a way of living, a way of sporting thing, a health and fitness thing, a political thing, a learning aspect, whatever it is. You can really reach a tribe, and then you can, instead of pandering to the mass, you can challenge the tribe to do more, have more, and become more.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's important we're able to do that. I want to ask you about something else now. We're catching you right now in the midst of your sabbatical. What do you see as the importance of sabbatical for those that are watching? What should they think of, and what conditions should they aim for if they say, hey, someday I might want to do that sabbatical also? Because you're right in the middle of it right now. Yeah. This would be a good time to ask you that.
It's a great question, because here's what I would tell you. This sabbatical is the smartest thing I ever did in my life. And I don't know why I didn't do it years ago. I mean, I know why. I'll tell you how I came about. A lot of you who would follow your blog, Terry, would know Alan Weiss, who's a good friend of yours as well. So I'm at a mastermind retreat with Alan and some other really bright people in Key Biscayne, Florida last year. And we're talking about what's going on in our business, what works, what isn't working. And I'm crying and whining about the fact that I had flown 500,000 miles the last year and 500,000 miles the year before. And I don't mean credit card miles. I mean in seat in an airplane. I flew 500,000 miles.
My condolences.
You know, I've been really good with online marketing, and my books have been in 25 languages. So as a result, 90% of my business is overseas. So I think I had 9 around the world trips in 1 year, or literally the whole globe. You know, sometimes I had them 2 weeks apart. I once had 2 around the world trips. You know. And your body just isn't made for that, the way airlines are pressurized. So I'm crying and whining and bitching about this. And Alan Weiss, he says, Gage, why are you doing that? I just don't know. Why are you doing that? You don't even need the money. So why are you doing it? And I was like, because what that question, when Alan asked me that question, that took me about 3 weeks of processing that question.
Alan has a way of asking those penetrating, annoying, but important questions.
Yeah. And Alan got right to the gist of it with that question. And I realized I'm the prosperity guy. I've been teaching prosperity now 20, 25 years, right? So, and I realized I'm the shoemaker with no shoes. Because the reason why I did it is because I grew up poor. And because I grew up poor, I had poverty consciousness.
In Wisconsin.
In Wisconsin. And I like to say how I've blown up that poverty consciousness and changed all my beliefs and see the world through a much bigger window and everything. But here was the bottom line. At that time, I was charging $25,000 for a keynote. 45 minutes to 60 minutes, okay? And the fact that someone, anyone, anywhere, would pay me 25 grand to do a talk, literally just flap my lips for 45 minutes, there's no fucking way in the world I would say no to that. I just wouldn't, because I used to live on $7,000 a year. Mm-hmm. So I felt like if someone offered me 25 grand to go do a speech and I didn't take it, my mother would slap me or something.
It's almost 4 times what you have. I don't know about you, but where I grew up, also in the Midwest, we call that serious money.
So, and I had a place in Australia because I did so much work in Asia, and so I went to this fee schedule where I said it's the same price anywhere in the world, because no matter where it is, I got an apartment on this side of the world, I have an apartment on that side of the world. You know, I'm traveling around anyway. And I have agents and promoters in different places. So if somebody books me in Germany, I could do a program in Belgium, or I could do a program in UK, or I could do a program in France. And somebody books me in Sydney, I can do a program in Malaysia or Singapore or whatever. And that was so what happened is 90% of my business was all these overseas markets, and I was doing all these 15, 20-hour plane rides all the time. And even the half-day ones, you know, and a lot of them were half-day or full-day for the international ones. So it was, I think, you know, 45 grand or 65 grand, I forget what it was. And there's no way I could turn that down.
Yeah. Plus the product sales, too.
So, and I realized, well, of course I could turn it down. Because I don't need the money. You know, I follow my own advice. I'm debt-free. My home is paid cash. My cars are paid cash. I have no debt, not a penny to anybody in the world. But I realized I was the shoemaker with no shoes, because here I am teaching prosperity consciousness, but couldn't imagine turning down a date. Now I turned down like one date. You know, there was somebody wanted to hire me for $50K in Russia. It was in February, and it was a softball tournament weekend. And there was no way I was going to miss a softball tournament. Yeah. So I would forego 50 grand for that, because you know how I am with softball. Exactly. But that was the only gig I've ever turned down, I think. And so that led to this sabbatical, where I said, no, you know, I'm going to turn them all down. I'll honor all of the ones I have booked, because, you know, I honor my commitments. But I'm not going to take any more. Mm-hmm. And what I did was I raised my fee starting now in January. So when I come out of sabbatical, it'll be at a higher fee, and I went back to the fee where it's more for the overseas ones.
What would you say to the person who's going, yeah, I'd like to do that, but I just can't turn down that whatever their version of that fee is?
Here's the fascinating thing. For a guy who's on sabbatical, I sure have been doing a lot of speeches. Just when the sabbatical started, I got calls from 4 bureaus who had never booked me, always had me on file, whatever, and they were like hysterical that you're going on sabbatical. What have we got? I'm like, excuse me, have you ever sent me a gig? So of these 4, I don't think any of them had ever sent me a gig. But they were like hysterical of the fact that they weren't going to be able to book me. And
Scarcity.
Yeah. And it's so true, when they say, well, you don't need the business. I mean, I have people, just crawling naked over broken glass, throwing money at me to do projects because I didn't want them. So, and I've just said, hey, come back. Probably this spring. I'll probably be back in the spring. But I can tell you the day I flip the switch, I'll be booked for the next 2 years. At the higher fee, but it'll be booked a lot less than I will never fly 500,000 miles a year again. I've really set the parameters of how much I want to travel, and I'm going to do stuff like this tribal event where it's they're my events. They're close to home. They're short airplane rides, or they're right where I live, or right where I'm staying, or I've got an apartment there.
Or I hear there's this thing called Skype and Google Plus Hangout where they can see you and actually be there without being there.
Well, I did that even before the sabbatical. I put a thing on my website where I said, okay, if you have a limited budget and you want the program, Randy will do it for 50% of the regular fee. And I sold 8 the first year, and I sold 11 the next year. And I did those programs literally just through Skype most of the time. One was a Google Hangout, and then, just to be truthful here, there was one in, I don't remember if it was Russia or Ukraine. It was supposed to be live via Skype, but when we did the tests in the hotel where they had the convention hall, we could tell the broadband wasn't going to work. So I filmed it with them the day before, and they played it like it was live, but it wasn't live because we knew the broadband wasn't going to work. And I think I'll probably do a lot more of those when I come out of sabbatical, because I think it works for people's budget. It works for me because I'm not getting on a plane. And it's, technology gives us the chance to do that.
Yeah, it certainly does, because you can interact that way. You can talk with people, and it's almost like you're there. I do a number of those, and people inevitably say at the end, Terry, it's almost like you're right here. You're right here with us. Well, it's those that are watching, they're thinking, this is great. And Randy, we're looking forward to seeing you when you come back out of the sabbatical, whenever that will be. Any words of advice, any sage parcels of wisdom that you can lend to us now as we're thinking about where we go from here in this year, 2014 now. We're in January, and we want to see a world ahead. Sometimes, and as we look at the news, some things look kind of scary, but there's also opportunities. What would you say to that person who's wondering which way to go and what to do?
Well, let me first finish the sabbatical question, because you raised a good question about that, and then I talked about how it came about. But, what did I learn on this sabbatical? I just wanted to work on me was my big thing. So some days I read 3 books. Some days I watch 15 TED videos. Working out twice a day. I took my body fat from over 20% to under 7%. I'm in the greatest shape I've ever been in my life.
Congratulations.
I'm playing shortstop on my softball team, okay? I'm going to be 55 on my next birthday. I'm like, that they put me in shortstop. And the truth is, I've been the best guy to play shortstop because I'm in the best shape. And I'm playing out of my mind right now. I'm playing better than I ever had my whole life. So working on me was the big thing. And then what I found was, so that was really, really powerful. But then I found that if you don't stay focused on that, it can lead to the other way. Because I was working, I got the online platform, the first one recorded. I had the book kind of laid out and written the first thing, and then it was at the agent was shopping it around to some houses, so I was not working on it in the moment. And then I realized I was about a month into not doing anything, where I just woke up every day and I worked out, but I wasn't really have any purpose. I wasn't learning. I was just, well, you got to go shopping and I got to go out to eat and, let me check this and let me check that. And I realized, wow, you could really spiral down fast if you're not conscious of, hey, the reason for this is you're supposed to be enlightening yourself, getting wiser, stronger, better, working on you. Otherwise, you're just, it's not like I'm sitting watching soap operas popping bonbons, but it's the equivalent of that. You know what I mean? If you're not working and you don't have this purpose of what it is you're doing. So I think that's important to think if you're thinking about a sabbatical. The other thing is, you got to hand the finances of it. To make it work, you got to have the money thing out of the way. Most people aren't in that spot, but if you could get yourself there and set that as a goal a year from now or 3 years from now or whatever. And then the other thing to think about with sabbaticals is, how do you know when you're done? How long is this? Which is the question I get all the time about mine. Because, when I first did it, I went absolute radio silence. I shut down my blog, my Twitter account, my YouTube channel, my Facebook page, everything. I just said, I'm disappearing from that. And I did that, I don't know, maybe 6 months. And then I said, now, and what I did is after I think like 4 months, I said, I want to send a postcard to my tribe. So I put up a blog and I said, hey, here's a postcard. Here's just something that I think is important, something I learned, and I think it might be important to you guys. And if you think so, share this around, and what do you think? And it got a very big response, and I said, okay, obviously the tribe loves it, enjoys it, they're spreading it, so I'm going to put up these postcards from time to time. And so I did that, and then, I don't know, 2 months ago or something, I said, I think I'll get back on Facebook and Twitter in a limited way that just really works for me. So I usually put up something on my fan page on Facebook each morning. I've taken a lot of the lessons and quips and quotes and things from my books and made them into slides and put up just like one of those a day or something I might put on my personal page, and then sending out tweets here and there, and I still. One of the other things I did during the sabbatical was I unfollowed 50,000 people on Twitter.
Wow, what happened on that?
There's no automated way to do that because, Twitter's TOS, they won't allow any of those apps to do that anymore. So it's literally, that was one of my to-do lists every day was I unsubscribed from 5 e-zines because I felt like my email was out of control and I was on all these lists. And I said, and then you don't want to take the time to unsubscribe. You say, well, just delete them. Well, I've been doing that for years. So now I was on 8,227,000 e-zine lists, and it's overwhelming. So I said, every day I'm going to unsubscribe from 5 e-zines. Or 5, or a lot of times they're not e-zines. Because I had bought a Bentley, I was on Bentley's list, and because I had bought an Aston Martin, I was on Aston Martin's list, and you know what I mean? I was on all these sales promotional lists. So I just started every day unsubscribe from 5 of those, and then every day unfollow 1,000 people because I found I don't even remember what the app was where you could like drag and drop 100 at a time, so I could get to 100. Do that 10 times or something. So it was like 1,000 a day. So I unfollowed 50,000 people on Twitter.
What kind of reaction did you get from those 50,000?
I don't know because I wasn't on Twitter. I never checked it. So I don't know what it was.
It might be out there haunting you now.
I mean, maybe people were saying nasty things about it. I don't know. It doesn't matter to me. They weren't people that I know. It's just when I started, some social media guru told me, well, follow back everybody who follows you because then you get more followers. So all of a sudden I had 90, 100,000 people that I followed. So, well, that's unworkable. So anyway, I unfollowed about 50,000 and then I set up a new, I'm on Hootsuite and you have the favorites. So I set up a favorites column of people that I really want to see the tweets from. And so now I see those, and I check those in the morning. So I might retweet. Bob Berg puts up a post. You might put up something, and I'll retweet it. And then that's really, so I might be on Twitter 20 minutes a day at max. So it's really on my schedule, and it works for my lifestyle, where I want to be right now.
Well, it sounds like in the sabbatical you've been able to define certain elements of your life that you want to address, and now you're able to do that. And like you say, get the financial. There's a good reason to achieve whatever is needed for that financially, just to be able to address those types of things. So as we focus on that, would be there. Any other thoughts on the sabbatical as you're in the midst of it right now? Because we know you'll be out eventually, but as you're in it right now.
Yeah, so think about, if you did it, how would you know is it over? To me, I felt like if I can, I want to at least learn one language, I want to get into best health I've ever been in, I want to get the next book done, and I want to get this online learning platform done. And for my sake, I think that'll all be done by spring, so I'll probably come off sabbatical in spring. But some people might say, oh, I'm going to do a sabbatical for 6 months, or I'm going to do a sabbatical for 2 years. There's people who do a sabbatical where they go and study at Oxford University for 1 year, even though they're already a graduate or whatever, but they do 1 year of postgraduate or something there. So think about, what would that look like for you? What would a sabbatical be? But for me, it was absolutely the most brilliant thing I've ever done. And if I look at the work I'm doing now, I'm so proud of this online learning platform and this new one that's going to come out later in the year, the Institute for Visionary Entrepreneurship. I mean, I'm going to create a sandbox where entrepreneurs can play in, really visionary entrepreneurs, because we're the people who change the world. Governments don't create prosperity. You know that very well. Most people don't realize that. They think governments create jobs, governments create prosperity, but they don't. At their best, governments can facilitate prosperity, but they don't usually do that. They usually squander it or they hinder it.
We've seen that just throughout history. It's not any one particular party. It's just that's what governments do throughout. That's their job throughout history.
Yeah. And so where prosperity is created is entrepreneurs, the free enterprise system. And so with this Institute for Visionary Entrepreneurship, I'm going to create a sandbox for people who really get that philosophy, where they can play in that sandbox every day and be around other brilliant people who live and work with that same philosophy. And it's the highest work I've ever done. This new book, Risky was the best book I ever wrote. It was the highest level of, that was my 9th book. I'm proud of it. I think Risky is the New Safe is the best book I've written so far. And this 10th book is going to be better because I'm operating at a higher level now. I'm working on me every day. Now every time I look at it, I can't believe how ignorant I was 2-3 weeks ago. I just feel like I'm accelerating at such a exponential pace right now because I'm doing so much work on me, and it's a really exhilarating feeling.
Excellent. Well, Randy, we are very proud of you and happy for you and what you're doing, and carry on. Just keep doing it, and we will be watching when you come out of that sabbatical. I'm sure we'll know. You'll let us know. The trumpets will be blaring, and the angels will come down, something like that. It will be good. But we thank you very much for what you've done. I know you've helped me personally in many ways, and I appreciate that, and I know many that are watching right now would echo that as well. So, Randy Gage, thank you very much, sir. Good to have you on board here, and glad to see you in this undisclosed location.
Thanks, everybody. Peace.
I'm Terry Brock. Thank you very much for joining us.